LTBB. Let's talk brand and business with Shina Iteade.
This is Let's Talk Brand and Business, a platform specially curated to host technocrats, leaders, and industry authorities within the marketing, communications, and business community. My name is Shina Iteade, your host on this special segment. My guest on this show today is the Principal Officer of Advertising Practice and Regulations here in Nigeria, a gentleman to the core. Though of recent, many have described him as the industry's new sheriff in town. Viewers, I bring you Dr. Lekon Fadolapo, Director General of Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria. You're welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Some stakeholders believe that ARCON's current regulations and laws are not economically beneficial to certain sectoral body in the industry. Some critics are saying this will send many brands packing. And they say, are you regulating to kill business?
Wow, thank you very much. Let me say that there's nothing you can do and you get alignment with everybody. What you need to first do is to set your KPIs and look at the alignment of that KPI with your conscience, with the constitution of the country, as well as the public. Now, like a proverb in Africa will say, if you throw a stone into the market, you will have friends, people that will be ailing you. And if you decide to feed a whole community as a charity, you will still have people that will criticize you. So it's possible that some of these reforms does not sit well with everybody. But let me give you a small highlight of the reform. Now, the intention of the reform is to grow Nigeria advertising industry and to rightly position us in the committee of advertising markets globally. Now, what have we done? The federal government wants to strengthen Naira. The federal government wants to create jobs. The federal government wants to empower Nigeria. The federal government wants to develop local talent. As a government agency, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation called all the DGs in the ministry and said, this is a directive. Go back and see how we can grow the economy. Alhaji Mohammed Idris spoke to each and every one of us. Now, this reform, some of it has been in existence before the new administration took off. We had to go and represent and get a fresh approval. So what are we looking at? First of all, how do we encourage local markets? How do we grow local talent? You and I know that we have over 200 million Nigerians as a country.
Yes.
Our GDP is the highest in Africa. Our economy is the fastest growing in Africa. However, if you look at us, vis-a-vis other markets in Africa, South Africa is 6 times bigger than Nigeria market in terms of advertising. The same thing with Kenya, the same thing with Egypt, and some other African countries. So you ask yourself, where did we get it wrong? It is a function of the leakages in our market that has created that loophole that people have been maximizing. Now, if we want to create an ad, for example, we want to shoot a commercial, sometimes it takes them as much as 500 million, 750 million, 1 billion naira, with respect to the size of the campaign and the budget of the campaign. Now, you want to do this, and you are targeting Nigerian market for your product consumption. Now, you take this whole money to South Africa. You invest it in the South African economy. You take a model there. You know that it takes a whole community to produce an ad, meaning that you need a lot of elements to bring in. Voice-over artists, models are there, the crew are there, the security is there, the entertainment is there, everything. You take this, you fly to South Africa, get everything there. You put the money in that economy. You are now coming back to Nigeria with a flash drive. after you have invested 1 billion in that economy, and you are saying when they are measuring the metrics of individual economic performance, Nigeria will sit same size. No. Now, you now come back with a flash drive to Nigerian economy. You have not used our model. You have not used our voice over artists. You want to sell the products in Nigeria. So when we say use Nigerian models, Nigerian voice over artists, Nigerian local talent, shoot your advert in Nigeria, so people will definitely not align. Some that have been benefiting from that mischievous activities, they will come and kick back. Now, there's a global trend. In globally, there's what we call payment threshold. It varies from one continent to another. In Europe, it's 30 days. In UK, it's 30 days. In other climes, in Africa, it's 45 days. Now, imagine a scenario whereby after bringing that flash drive to Nigeria, you now want to place those material. Now, within the Nigerian market, we have the global media, we have the international media, we have the local media. Now, when you want to place it in the global international media like CNN, like BBC, you prepare them. You pay them in advance. And you're telling them that because you also want to hedge against foreign currency fluctuation and everything, you have done the payment. Now you want to place the same media, the same ad in NTA. You are telling NTA that we cannot pay you until 120 days. You cannot pay you until 180 days. How do you want us to grow? So these are some of the things that the policy is aimed to correct. So if you see anybody, I've said it, any sectoral group that does not feel comfortable, it's not a paper thing. Let's sit down, let's face the camera, let's have a discussion on it. Let's tell the public. It's not individually now, a national debate for us to discuss this. Because most of the things have been coming from misinformation, disinformation, and an attempt to change the narrative. No. What we are trying to do is for us as Nigerians to ensure that we take benefit of advertising, advertisement, and marketing communication. This is our mandate. This is the government directive to us as a sectoral group.
Okay, addressing this bluntly, it's no news that Advan specifically, as a member of the sectoral, but that Advan specifically has gone ahead with legal action against your reform. What are the chances, of obtaining some of those reforms being tagged unconstitutional? We've read, do you think Advan is also wasting his time taking it to court?
We have responded to it. The case is in court. The Attorney General of the Federation is joined. The National Assembly, both the House and the Senate are part of it. The Ministry is also joined. So I don't want to speak so much about this because now we have been served. But I can tell you sure that our team, the Ministry, the Attorney General Office, we are all ready for this.
And you are certain of victory on your own part?
To the best of my knowledge.
Use your capital flights. You just, talked about that now. The ban on foreign models, for example, the ban seems to be a bold step towards cultural preservation, but some argue it may inadvertently reinforce stereotypes. How do you plan to address potential stereotyping concerns in locally produced
There's nothing.
I don't want to mention the case of NTA. NTA is better now.
There's nothing stereotype about it. We need to sit down and tell ourselves some home truth. Now, are you saying that you need a model? You cannot get that face in Nigeria. If you need a day-old cry in today's Nigeria, you get it. So why do we still need to take all these assets and take it to another economy, develop the economy, and come back to? Now, at a point, some were pushing that there will be a backlash. It is not about backlash. It's about protecting our own territorial integrity, culture, and advertisement relevance. We will not continue to tolerate this imported advertisement.
It's good doing that, but do you think we're capable of, competing on the global stage, looking at?
Why not? If not, where is our music? Where is our music? Where is our entertainment? If we are not taking deliberate steps, action to grow nobody will. Don't forget that sometimes it pays them more to do this and get away with it. But what we are saying is that, look, if we are the biggest market, go and check most of these multinationals that operate in Nigeria. Go and check where is their biggest and major market. Now, if they choose to advertise in Nigeria, then use us to speak to us. It's a very simple policy. There will always be another slant. There will always be another narrative. But then, if we continue to desire to grow our economy, if we continue to desire to grow the advertising ecosystem, we cannot continue to do business the same old way and expect a change. Thank you.
All right, still on capital flight. Are there figures available on how much we are losing on this foreign incursion? Do we even have data?
The last time we had a discussion with ITPAN and the like of Mr. Afenodubeni, it is estimated in the neighborhood of 120 billion.
Is this an official record, sir?
Yes, official record, because we have commissioned PwC to determine the size, the contribution to GDP. But the unverified data, the guesstimate we were able to put together, estimated the neighborhood of 120 billion in terms of capital flight that leaves this industry annually on advertising. This includes production that are done outside the country, material that are brought in, the models and everything. So the combination of it, you can imagine if this is invested in the economy, you can imagine how far this will go in developing our own sector.
All right, thank you very much for that, sir. As digital marketing continues to dominate the landscape, how is ARCON adapting to regulate online platforms effectively? Are you capable of doing this? Or are there plans to collaborate with tech companies to ensure compliance?
Number one, you need to understand that there are two key players in that sector in terms of the media ownership. There's a primary digital media space owner. There's a secondary digital media space owner. Aside the digital agency, who are also key stakeholders. Now, in that platform, we have situations where advertisers are also digital media space owners. So there are a lot of lines and a lot of overlapping situations in that. That's number one. Now, for the primary digital media space owner, they are the big giants, like Facebook, like Meta, like owner of Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram. We have the like of Google, we have the like of Yahoo, and other. So they are the primary digital media space owners. Now, we have the secondary digital media space owners, the influencers, the bloggers. They have their space, but their space are hosted within the primary space. So they don't own the platform, but they live on a platform, existing platform. Now, what we have done is we have done like engagement, we've done meeting, we've done seminar before we commence enforcement in that space. Now, there's a full enforcement going on in that space. We are had meeting with Google. We have told them our own pitch. We made our own pitch to them. Okay. We can't do this without having some regulatory framework in place. You can just imagine open your phone in the morning and all the adverts that could not find their space to the traditional media, they've all moved to the digital media now with a lot of shenanigans by most of these influencers, the platform owners. And so what we've done is the Advertising Offences Tribunal is up and running now. We have dragged some of the violators to the Advertising Offences Tribunal. We are in court with some of the primary digital media space owner because we cannot afford to allow that space to go on motor run. The National Assembly some time ago, before our law was reviewed, passed a resolution directing us to take responsibility for the administration and regulation of that space. So
the space or the
digital media,
within the space?
The digital advertising, the advertising in that space.
In that space.
We are not regulating.
Not shunning social media as it's being.
Trying to understand one fact. In that digital space, the content is divided into three. Okay. We have information, we have entertainment, and we have advertising. Now, some people will tell you infotainment, meaning information and entertainment. We don't take responsibility for information. We don't take responsibility or regulation for entertainment. So when it's information or entertainment, it's not within our purview. So when I speak to advertising content. which is the only remit we have. We don't have control over information and entertainment. So when I say we are regulating digital media space, I'm talking in terms of advertising content. Anything outside that advertising content is not within our remit. Okay. Our law only permits us to regulate advertising, advertisement, and marketing communication. So in the digital media space, we go for everything that relates to advertising, advertisement, and marketing communication.
Okay, still on advertisements that concerns your council. Like I said at the beginning, your aim wouldn't be to kill businesses. Nigerians are entrepreneurial in nature, and the least you can do as a government creative body is to shield and provide support to these budding and emerging talents in the creative. How do the new ARCON guidelines address the potential impacts on the monetization strategy of content creators in Nigeria? I mean, are there measures in place to balance regulation with economic interests of creators in the creative industry?
Yes,
because they need to make money.
The content, the content, like I said, is also divided into two for us. If we are looking at a skit maker, for example, its primary purpose is to do entertainment. And by doing entertainment, it's going to attract eyeballs and traffic to his site.
And that translates
now,
to money.
If that is what he has been able to do successfully, brands wants to be where there's eyeball, so they approach him. Now, in advertising, in Nigerian advertising, there's so many things we don't do. We don't do disparaging advertising. You cannot say my product is better than your own product. We don't do, you don't use superlative word. So many things and principles. You don't use women as sex objects. There are some advertising materials that you don't use children for. Now, if those regulations are not there, then any skit maker can pick off anything. And when you are making a claim, you have to substantiate that claim. So when they do their advertising content, they are expected by law to send it to us to ensure it conforms with the Nigerian Code of Advertising and get approval for it before exposure. Now, if it is their information or entertainment leg, which has nothing to do with brand, they don't need to talk to us. But when they cross that line of going into commercial communication, then the law requires that. So there's a huge opportunity in that. I know that some of the primary digital media space now pay people for attraction of traffic to those sites. But when it comes to advertising, the law requires that before you expose or before you post, before you upload, you need to first get approval for that particular, because it is now not within your scope of entertainment. It has moved into brand communication.
I mean, on this, how well are you pursuing this? What's the compliance rates with this?
The compliance rate has increased from 10 to 40 now, as I'm talking to you now, and we are moving up. I am confident. We've had discussion with very large number of them, and reasonable number to the extent that I can tell you that so far, within the shortest period of time, we are also hoping to have a better compliance rate. But I can tell you for free that most of them are now aligning with the rules and regulations. Because if there is a violation, there are two people involved. You that upload, the brand that is uploaded, and the advertising offences tribunal is also there. So because of that, I think that in the last few weeks, we've had to sit down with some people to say, let's settle out of court. No, we agree that we are here. Okay, so what do we do? So with that, some of them have started aligning with the reality of regulation in this space. Yes.
Okay, and are there plans for educational initiatives to help content creators understand and navigate the guidelines effectively?
Yeah, we have done one before, and we did one. I mean, I think we've done two before. We've done two sessions before. Before the end of this quarter or second quarter of the year, we will have another session with them where we bring in some people to also enlighten us on this.
All right, sir. As we begin to draw to a close, how does ARCON strike a balance between protecting consumers from misleading content and allowing creative freedom? Are there specific criteria used to determine what is considered detrimental?
That is the
mentioned
primary
to
responsibility of the advertising standard panel. As we are talking, and the advertising standard panel is meeting, and if you know the composition of the advertising standard panel, they have representative of the industry. All the sectoral groups are currently represented there. So their own is to ensure creativity is alive and they are pushing the frontier. NAFDAC is there to ensure that there's an alignment with their regulation. FCCPC is there, Federal Consumer Protection Agency. CBN is there, SEC is there. So that body is created to ensure there's alignment between creativity and as well as the rule of law as it guides each practices. So by the time they look through an ad and they approve an ad, be rest assured that that ad must have gone through a war room before it's finally approved.
All right, so on a final note, no grief for anybody is a local mantra for 2024 here in Nigeria. Many have defended this phrase to connote tenacity and rigor to achieve one set goal for the year. Here at ARCON, what are your no grief for nobody go for 2024?
Well, I will say that my own word will be wisdom is profitable to direct. There are some situations you have to sit down and engage. There are some situations, in leadership, there are 3 leadership styles. We have the autocracy that will tell you that this is the way and nothing change. We have the democracy which will tell you that we need to all sit down. Then we have the contingency school or the laissez-faire school that will say let us sit down. Theory X and Y states that there are some people that wants to work. McGregor's theory X and Y will tell you that some people wants to work, but they need something to motivate them. Another theory X says nobody wants to work, so you need to force them to work. So you apply autocracy. Then theory Y will tell you that staff wants to work, but they need something to motivate them. So you have to be democratic. In between, you have one that is a function of your own body language. If you see that you are difficult, you will align. If you see that you are laissez-faire, or even you, the boss, you are coming late, then so there is nothing like a straitjacket policy. I will suggest that wisdom is profitable to direct. The situation, the people, their responsiveness, their attitude should determine the best way. It should end as a win-win situation, not like it must either be me or nothing. Thank you.
All right, on that note, we call this, we draw the curtain on this edition of Let's Talk Brand and Business. Dr. Likon Fadolapo, thank you very much for
Thank you very much.
Yeah.